Would you like to paraphrase what has happened to our country in the last week, Jay?
It's all gone to shit. We went back a cool 50 years and we
We
could
went
be
back a
sliding
cool 50 years.
even further back.
Maybe.
Yeah. What do you think?
It's sickening in every way. These Supreme Court justices lied about their position on the precedent of Roe versus Wade, and that they all, to some degree, implied, if not outright stated, that Roe versus Wade was the law of the land. And they lied. And they got on the Supreme Court and overturned it in my lifetime, which amongst my peers and I, we genuinely never thought would happen in our lifetime. Women who have resources will be fine. They always are. This will disproportionately affect poor women of all walks of life and will create more unsafe abortion. It's not like people are going to stop having sex, right? So sex, rape, incest, all these things will continue. We've just made it more difficult for women to get care.
Thank
So
you.
what will happen is that we will just have to design a underground railroad for pregnant women. And that's all that will happen.
Mhm.
A girlfriend of mine already posted on Facebook that she will rent her room for $1 a night to anyone who comes from out of state seeking an abortion. I love the grassroots perspective of it. I'm going to talk to my circle of women friends and see what we can do to support women who are coming in from out of state or who will be coming in from out of state who will need support. What are the healthiest and safest ways to give them that support getting back and forth across state lines?
Mm-hmm. They're not even trying to make it look like this actually has to do with like legal precedent. You are clearly going about doing this as like an evangelical fucking theocratic court who's here to impose doctrine.
And let's go with that theory
rather than legal analysis.
Let's go with that. Let's say it's about the life of the child and the family. Why are men not being held responsible for any of these pregnancies? Why does it only fall on the woman?
Mm-hmm.
This is the one thing in the world we can confirm that a woman cannot do by herself.
Yeah. Why not make dick pills illegal? Why not require every man to get a vasectomy that gets undone when they get married? If you really were about that.
Why isn't masturbation illegal? Why isn't that murder?
Oh, yeah. Every single one of your sperm cells.
Right. Unfertilized. Right. Sperm that didn't fertilize an egg. Well, then you've just destroyed a life because that should have fertilized an egg. So again, why does the punishment only fall on the shoulders of the women?
Because patriarchy.
So I guess the question I have for you, Jay, is why do men hate women so much?
In this country?
Anywhere.
And honestly,
pick a location. I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have equal rights anywhere. So I'm going to have to assume, based on the fact that women don't have equal rights anywhere on earth, that the one thing all the men on earth agree on is that women aren't equal. So men don't agree on religion. They don't agree on money. They don't agree on the price of rice. They don't agree on the weather. They don't agree on anything other than, regardless of race, creed, and cultural origin, that women are second class. Fascinating how men were able to come to that consensus.
Mm-hmm.
Across culture, creed, and time.
Mm-hmm.
Can't agree on anything else though, huh?
Nope.
That you agree on. Why is that, Jay? Being the honorary penis in the room.
Happy to have that title bestowed upon
Happy to have the title of the honorary penis in the room.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Origins of misogyny.
Why do y'all hate us so much?
What is the actual origin of misogyny? I think it comes down to power. And I think going all the way back to like caveman era, I think men are used to having a lot of power, and the more rights and the more autonomy they give women, the less power they have. When women couldn't work, men only needed to compete against other men for jobs, right? When women also couldn't work and couldn't have a credit card and couldn't drive and all of these other things, that meant that the sexual market, the marriage market, was skewed towards men. And especially once you got married, you could be the worst husband in the world. You could beat your wife. You could all the horrible things. And because women couldn't work or couldn't do anything else, that essentially made a financial wall preventing this woman from actually like exercising any kind of autonomy to be able to leave a shitty marriage. I think it just comes down to power.
Well, at what point does the love men have for us outweigh their need to dominate us?
When men realize that that women actually being equal isn't a threat to you.
Right. Just because we're equal in value doesn't mean we're equal in what we can do.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like until men get to that place where they actually believe, you know what I mean? It kind of goes back to like the Jimi Hendrix quote: when the power of love overcomes the love of power, then things will be better.
Right. The world will know peace.
Mm-hmm.
Well, until that moment comes, I guess we're overturning abortion, which more importantly than even forcing women to have unwanted pregnancies, it's the fact that women just don't have control over what happens to their body.
Mm-hmm.
There are no laws on the books anywhere in the United States that tells a man what to do with his body.
Nope.
Not one. And now we already have more than a dozen states who have literally immediately inhibited a woman's right to get an abortion at all. Arkansas has inhibited their ability to get an abortion for any reason at all, including rape.
Exactly. The Supreme Court itself did not include carve-outs for rape or incest. And so now all of these states are able to just say the quiet part out loud and just be like, no exception for rape or incest. That's God's will, blah, blah, blah.
Right. Well, then impotence should be God's will, and we should be removing Viagra off the market immediately. But I don't hear any talk of that.
Don't hear it.
Shameful. So now with that, it's amazing how, if you think about it and look back in history, how all of this could have been so different. Had Ruth Bader Ginsburg retired and gotten a liberal on, this outcome could have been different.
Trump got 3.
If Mitch McConnell hadn't impeded Obama, to this day, I don't understand how he had the power to do that. Impede Obama from putting anybody in the Supreme Court.
Well, he had the power. It's just fucked up that he did it. The Republicans have the Senate. It's completely unprecedented. Okay. Nobody thought he'd hold up a Supreme Court nominee for
right.
almost a fucking year.
Right, because that's what the Republicans have been focusing on.
They play hardball.
Yeah, they play long ball.
Yeah.
They think 6 decades ahead. And this was the plan from the 60s. This was the plan. The conservative movement from there gave birth to what just happened. Mm-hmm. They've been pregnant this whole time.
Including the fact that these guys all lied to get on the Supreme Court.
Oh, they all lied.
That was part of the plan.
And we have them recorded. They literally said precedent has been set. I did not believe them. Amy Comey, the Comey chick, comes from an extreme, almost cultish Christian religion. She adopted a little black son to validate.
She ain't no regular Christian. She's
literally
she's some cultish denomination.
Yes, she's like a hair's breadth away from Handmaid's Tale Christianity.
Wow. The order of the something.
Yes. Yeah. She's into some weird shit and has made no secrets all along. There is no secret about her conservative position. There's no secret. And because she's so young, she's going to be on that court forever.
Mm-hmm. It is worth pointing out the Federalist Society is who all the conservatives get their justice recommendations from. Yeah. So they're the ones who provide a short list.
Mm-hmm. Or they say you can pick from this group.
Yeah, you can pick from this group. And these people all know their lines.
Right. If Trump hadn't won, so many things had to line up for this day to come.
Mm-hmm.
And at this point, I think the Democrats are complicit. Nobody fails this much when you're in control of this much.
It's like a rigged game. It's Joe Manchin.
But we get to hang it on him. Mm-hmm. But it's them as a group. Let's not forget these people.
Everyone else voted to codify Roe. How is it them as a group?
Because it seems like no matter how much power the Democrats have, they can't seem to defend themselves against Republican tactics. They don't market themselves better. They shouldn't be losing to this.
So first and foremost, going all the way back to Federalist Papers and shit. Our system is set up to give way too much authority to the minority. The Senate in and of itself gives a lot of control to the minority in general. Then the fact that you actually need 60 votes to overcome a filibuster, plus the Electoral College. If you're going to have the Senate and the Electoral College, the filibuster should have been gotten rid of. We should have gotten rid of it a long fucking time ago. It's not in the Constitution.
Yeah,
right?
We're going to go only now that we have using it.
Yeah, it's only now that we have 48 Democratic senators that are okay with getting rid of the filibuster. They never would have, there was never a push for that before. And there's also, remember, Democrat didn't always mean socially liberal. You know what I mean? When Obama had that supermajority, there were Democrats in there like Joe Lieberman, who, yes, he was a Democrat, but would have never
Very
to
moderate.
codify Roe v. Wade. You know, there were a bunch of
Right.
people who were more socially conservative than Joe Manchin in that Democratic supermajority. So this is the first time that we've had this many Democrats that are also pro-gay marriage and pro-choice and also are okay with getting rid of the filibuster. So like we I know people hate hearing, oh, vote harder or whatever. I know it's cliche. I know it sucks. I know it's frustrating, but we are just one Democratic senator away from codifying Roe, and we are two Democratic senators away from getting everything else we actually want. And it's Joe Manchin and it's Kristen Sinema, two Democrats in red states. Everyone else is down for the rest of Biden's agenda. And Kristen Sinema came over for the vote on Roe v. Wade to codify Roe a month ago. Now they're talking about having another vote because that previous vote was for the Women's Health Care Act, which included codifying Roe. They're talking about just doing another vote to codify Roe.
Well, I don't trust those two Democrats.
We'll see. Yeah. Joe Manchin said, I feel betrayed by these people who lied. So maybe Joe Manchin will come over.
I don't believe him. I don't believe anything he says. I don't believe any of them. None of them. Because for a hot minute, you know, everybody thought Romney had a change of heart. He didn't. For a hot minute, people thought Susan Collins was going to have a change of heart. She didn't. She's another one who supported them thinking, oh, they're not going to overturn Roe versus Wade. And guess what? They did. There was nothing about Comey or Kavanaugh that even alluded to the fact that they would have voted in any other direction. So I don't know why anybody thought they would vote any differently than they did. If you look at their history, I mean, Kavanaugh was part of the Monica Lewinsky and Clinton investigation.
That's a good point.
Right. So there's nothing in their histories that should make us think that they had a change of heart.
Mm-hmm. If we do codify Roe into law, doesn't it just go back to the same Supreme Court? So wouldn't that essentially just buy time, and wouldn't the same Supreme Court just be like, yeah, well, you know, based on this ruling we made before, even though you guys passed the law at the federal level, we still say no.
Yeah, this is done for now. This is going to take another 5 decades to swing back the other way.
Whew.
Because it took 5 decades to get here. And this is kind of what happens. The pendulum swings. And the conservatives have been working towards this one issue since easily the 50s.
Mm-hmm. So the best thing to do is expand the courts rather than, I mean, codifying Roe might buy some time.
No. Another idea is that Supreme Court justices shouldn't have the position for life.
That takes a constitutional amendment to get rid of that. Whereas I think it might be easier to expand the courts. And the courts were expanded. There is precedent for that. The courts were expanded from, I believe, 7 to 9 justices because we had at that time 9 circuits. Mm-hmm. And so now we have 13 circuits. So you could say, based upon previous precedent, we should have 13 justices. We should add 4.
But that only would matter if it's not a partisan selection. And what has happened is that these positions have become partisan in nature. We shouldn't know that how they're going to vote based on the composition of the Supreme Court. And the fact that we do means it's compromised.
Oh, yeah. It means it's a political body, which it was not supposed to be.
Right. It's the one position that you're supposed to be able to separate from your personal beliefs. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to govern for everybody in the nation. Mm-hmm. And what these people have done is govern in the name of what they believe in.
Yeah. And how come we haven't dragged all of them back to the Senate to explain why they lied in their Senate confirmation hearings?
Because it's done.
Even though it'd be pointless, to grill them, make them sit there for a day and repeat and explain over and over again for a whole fucking day. You lied, own it.
Because they're not going to own the fact that they lied.
Oh yeah, they'll come up with an excuse, but to make them just the public whipping.
Like the January 6th committee hearings. Yeah. Have you been following that?
Yeah. We should do a whole episode on that. But you get what I'm saying?
We'll have to do a whole episode on that.
Day where these 3, Gorsuch, Kavanaugh, and Barrett, are brought here to explain themselves.
Correct. But they're not going to. So it'd be a waste of time. They'll lie again the way they lied last time.
But just literally just to waste a day of your time and allow everybody to just to yell at you. Honestly, it would just appease, our side.
Right.
But I think
the verbal lashing should start with Clarence Thomas. If he's not the most despicable human being, and I don't understand how out of all of them, he's still allowed to serve, knowing what we know about his wife.
Mm-hmm. And we'll get into Jeannie Thomas when we do our recap of the January 6th hearings.
Absolutely,
I was just
because
going to say
she was affiliated with a cult at one point, so she's susceptible to weird
she
shit.
probably still is and just is hiding it. If
Right.
we put 4 new justices on the Supreme Court, knowing it's a political body, knowing how they're going to vote, and we do have the votes to put in, say a seat opened up, we could get those justices in, right?
Mm-hmm.
But expanding the court, I don't know if Joe Manchin supports expanding the court.